name's David McDonald. I'm president of the IHBC. It's my great pleasure to be chairing this morning's session. And where are the origins to this, actually? And I thought, well, it was a few years ago at the Carlisle Annual School, where a previous president, David Lovey, mentioned, why don't we do something more on communities and giving some power to people? And that's been bubbling around for quite a long time. But I have to say, West Midlands branch, who've done really terrifically well in getting this whole event organised, have really picked up the baton on that. And so we've got today's conference. And what I'm going to do is just give this is my personal take on the event. Oops, we've got a slide not coming up. And what I'm going to do is just say a little bit about my recent experience that might give us something of an introduction. The next slide will show London Open Garden Squares Day. It works. Yeah, there it is. Now, I was going to say a little bit about this event, which is actually an example of people power. It was started in 1998 by a resident who lived in Courtfield Gardens in Earl's Court. And what she wanted to do was, a lot of the garden squares in London are private, so they're accessed by residents only. She wanted to make them open to the public at least one day a year. So she started this along with the London Parks and Gardens Trust. And in the first year, it's 30 gardens which were open to the public. And I played my very small part in that because I was working for Kensington and Chelsea Council at the time, and I managed to persuade the council to give some sponsorship towards it. Anyway, that has grown from there, and last weekend was Garden Squares Open Day again, and there was over 200 gardens, not just garden squares, but all sorts of gardens that were open to the public. So I thought I'd do my bit, and I'll go along and visit one of these gardens. So I decided just up the road is the Winchmore Hill Friends Meeting House, Quaker Meeting House, which has an extraordinarily beautiful garden beside it. So I went there, and of course there was lots of volunteers. There were people running it, people from the Quaker community themselves, but other volunteers as well, who just signed themselves up to the day to make people welcome, have a good look around, make cups of teas and coffees and things, and the whole thing was working well. And it did work very well, and yet the organisation has grown and grown, but still the volunteers are there, and it now has funding, and there's permanent staff who run the operation, but there's still that important thing of people being involved. And this people involvement even included some of the other gardens, open gardens had the same thing. There was a resident poet there who was going to, as he said to us, he was going to crowdsource a poem. I think this is poetry coming up to date, isn't it? Crowdsource a poem. So my partner and I made our own little contribution to this, being in the Quaker burial ground and garden. So our contribution was tranquility through simplicity, life, death, and regeneration. And that was it. So we put that into the mix. And anybody who recognises poetic forms will know actually that's got all the right syllables and the right order to be Japanese haiku. So how Japanese haiku fits with Quaker burial grounds, I'm not quite sure. And yet we did feel we were in a really special place. It was something quite different, which is sort of ironic in a way, because if you know about Quakers, their religion is very much about people. It's not about places, because it's the importance of the community and people gathering that's important. And yet their burial ground and garden alongside it actually had quite a spiritual quality to it. And what I'm trying to get to now is just say that, but of course, being a small religious community, they've got all the same problems that these communities have. They've got a dwindling congregation, an ageing congregation as well. They have a beautiful listed meeting house to look after, as well as the garden. And you can see they are beginning to struggle. So it is quite a sort of pertinent thing. So I'll just go on and say just a few, so a little bit more. So the Garden Squares project is continuing, and it should form a link into one of our speakers this morning, but I'll say a little bit about that later on. And that takes us to next thing, announcement. I'm very conscious that I've got limited time before the next item comes on. Is that announcement of caring for your home. In your delegate pack, you'll find something with IHBC Online, and it's a relaunch of A Stitch in Time, and this is really people power as well, because it's giving at least some power back to owners to guide them about maintenance of their properties. So I'd like you, if you can look and pick up, you'll have one of these within your pack, have a close look at it and go online and look at the document. So very timely in a way that's come across or is happening at this time, just when we're talking about people power. And then one other thing, just to link into what I was saying about churches, here's another recommendation. I hope you all received the Churches supplement from the Building Conservation Directorate. If you want to look about the difficulties of congregations and populations in rural parishes, there's a really good article by Trevor Cooper, which talks about rural parishes and the difficulties that they're facing at the present time. So it's actually really something I commend you to read it from our wonderful publishers, Cathedral Communications. Jonathan's at the back there, just waving his hand. And then, funnily enough, this is great coincidences actually. In the same edition, somebody's done an article about Quaker meeting houses. So it actually filled me in a bit about Quaker meeting houses before my visit last weekend. Right, I think that's probably enough for me at this point. And you'll see on your agenda for today, it says Vox Pop.